Hello, and welcome to another video. Let's talk about everything you need to know before the new season starts. Firstly, let's get into the timeline. The date is 10th of January, and that is when we will rise. What we need now is to make the most out of this new even playing field. Let's address the elephant in the room. Should you even play early season? Well, yes and no. The answer is a bit complicated. It's a great time to try to climb, as the playing field is evened up. It's also when people try the most, in my opinion, because everyone obviously wants to climb, right? And you will end up getting a bit of a head start. Now, on the other hand, some people troll early season. If people are on loss streaks, they tilt even more, and the matchmaking can be a bit more unfair. At the end of the day, though, I recommend you do play early season, as trying to find the best time to play, and so does not really matter. We play for long-term improvement, and if you put Showmaker on your account, he can climb early season, he can climb with bad MMR, he can climb with good MMR, he can climb the last week of the season, he can climb no matter what. So strive to be as skilled as him, and not his rank. Now, placement ranks are something I'm sure you're curious about, so I'll tell you how it should work. On accounts which had normal MMR for their ranks, so think all of your main accounts, the Heartstuck accounts, the whatever accounts with, say, more than 100 games. Most of these accounts will get a rank that is around 1 tier lower, whether that be 400, 500, or 600 LP. Lower is up to Riot Games. Though for reference, last season you got around 500 LP lower. It matters a lot what your rank is though, and not your LP. So even though I talk about LP, it's more like LP below the rank that you are. So if you were like plat 4 with, I don't know, like 80 LP, that 80 LP doesn't count. So that is something to keep in mind. So if you're close to promoting and want to start a bit higher next season, I suggest you do so, though do keep in mind that in the long term it won't really change your rank in the next season, but rather it will just change the rank that you start and how fast you get to the rank that you want to be in, which is also pretty good, right? For accounts with high or low MMR, compared to their rank, the system takes a kind of a middle ground between the MMR and the rank. And I'll use myself as an example here. I had an account which was like 40 wins and 2 losses or something, and it was Diamond 4, so like 90 something win rate, Diamond 4, so it had like mid-master MMR, let's say like 400 LP MMR or something. That should easily get plat 1. But that account started at plat 3 or plat 2, because the rank of the account wanted to place it by putting it 5 divisions lower, which would mean that it would be placed gold 1, and judging by its MMR, it should have started at plat 1. Do keep in mind though that cheesing an extra rank with ranking up now will not improve your MMR, and you will gain less LP later on. So this is mostly relevant for people who want to rush ranks or climb a bit easier, but long term, don't really worry about it. Speaking of placements, let's start about the specifics of them. In placements last season, you could not duo queue for your first game, which might still be the case now. Duo queue worked fine after one game though, regardless of win or loss, because you got your provisional rank and then the system knew how to match you. Dodging in placements will not result in a loss of a placement game, but it will result in a loss of LP and time penalty if you've already played at least one placement game, though the time penalty applies either way, but the LP will not apply on the first placement game that you play. So that one is kind of a free dodge. Completely free. It's just a time delay. Though you do lose your dodge, so that is something to consider as well. Now you might want to dodge every placement and get perfect placements run, so you would play multiple days and you would win every game, and okay, I mean, that's not the worst idea I've heard of. But, well, I have to tell you that placements will only really matter in the short term, and that's because you gain a lot of LP in placements, and it's going to be more than the MMR that you gain if you win every placement. Like, you're not going to get 7 trillion MMR just for winning every placement, while you do get like 7 trillion LP. So yeah. And after losing placements, it will make it, and losing after placements, it will make it so the higher LP that you got from placements compared to the low MMR that you got because you won every placement, and now you losing will mean that your MMR will be even lower compared to your rank, right? So that can be worse than losing quite a bit in placements and then winning every game after placements, right? So for example, if you lost like every placement game and then won every game after it, your rank would be lower, but your MMR compared to the rank would be better, so your LP gains would be better. So that's just kind of preference. Do you prefer to have better LP gains, or do you prefer to have a higher rank? At the end of the day, it's kind of the same because your MMR is going to end up being pretty much even with those things. It doesn't really matter. It's not something to consider too much. Going for 10-0 placements, though, and a high win rate afterwards will, of course, let you climb very fast. But in the long term, it won't really have much more of an effect than if you did like meh in your placements and then you won a lot afterwards anyway. Because of this, I recommend you, of course, do your best at the start, but don't get too hung up on them. If it goes well, you can rush your desired rank quickly, you can rank up, and maybe it goes really well for you and you reach a new peak. If it doesn't go well, just know your LP gains are going to be better anyway. So in the long term, you will get all of your losses back. Not many of you probably know this, but there are programs which allow you to see your teammates' names in Champ Select, even with Champ Select anonymity. They work based on HTTP requests as far as I know, and as I do not know if they're bannable or not, I will not recommend all of you to use them. Though, do be aware that some people might use it, but Riot shouldn't really want you to use this, as the reason for Champ Select anonymity itself was so you don't do this, so you don't see the teammates. But it's quite unlikely for them to be bannable, as Riot doesn't usually ban for stuff that just accesses the API, and they also requested for all of the apps to remove this feature from their client rather than removing it themselves or making it bannable or something. And the most likely thing to happen is that some of these people who made this get into trouble with Riot or something. All that being said, at the end of the day, it's your responsibility if you choose to use it or not. Either way, you can dodge a lot though, so I do recommend that if you do use it, then use it when multiple people are on lost streaks in your early season games, and you can dodge that. The programs also usually have some kind of other feature, for example, like changing icons or changing background on your client, queuing up on your client, auto-accepting queue, or something like instantly calling roles in blind picks. Next thing should be mentality. What mentality should you have in the new season? You need to avoid fear, analytics, and overthinking. Now you might think to yourself, why analytics and overthinking? What does that have to do with it? The reason most people don't succeed is taking an analytical mindset and looking at spreadsheets, data, analytics all day. But at the end of the day, the only person that can succeed is the one that goes out and does what they have to do, even if they fail once or twice. Like, for example, look at the biggest YouTuber in the world, Mr. Beast. If that guy decided to look at analytics all day and he was just thinking, shit, nothing works, man, what can I do? And then he just quit or something, like he wouldn't be where he is today, right? Your first 10 games, though, will not matter so much. So make sure that you don't over-focus on that. And your first 50 games, 50 to 100, will matter a lot, though. Because basically, every game is like your most important first milestone. So every first game is the most important 1 game. Every 10th game marks the most important 10, and so on. But regardless of that, the first games aren't as important as the consistency within the first 50 to 100 games. Because of the compounding effect, in the end, you will end up either going up or down because of that. So you need to relax and try to play your best as much as possible. Lastly, you don't want to wait until the new season starts. You should start practicing, warming up, and fixing bad habits and autopilot that you developed during the preseason right now. If you wait until the new season, you're at a disadvantage. Because while you might think to yourself that I'll just start tryharding when the season starts, no. Because if you lose a few games after that, you will completely stop and you will play the same as you play in preseason. So you need to fix that mindset now, and then it'll be much harder for you to get back into it when the new season does start, if something does go wrong. You want to edge out every win you can, and you will get rewarded in the long term. So make sure that all of these things are on point. A decent win rate will carry you quite far. It will give you a good rank and good LP gains. So make sure to focus on that a lot. Figure out as many new tricks as you can and optimize what you play. And remember that even if it's like a small advantage, or even if you hate some person, or even if someone makes you mad or something, the games are too important and the other person doesn't matter because they're not going to climb anyway and you want to climb. So make sure to keep these things all on point. Thanks for watching. Remember to like and subscribe if you want more tips before the new season starts, and comment what rank you are aiming for next season if you made it to this point in the video. See ya.